大家好, I'm Nathan Rich, aka 火锅大王. In a time period of extreme pressure in China, we're seeing a lot of people come together to try to do something about the problem. The novel coronavirus has affected everything at this point. There's not a person in China that doesn't feel different. But outside of China, there are little pockets of weasels who just can't help but cast stones. This time, I'm talking about a guy named Matt Novak. With Gizmodo, he's written an article so stupid, it is almost unbelievable. It's called Jack Ma Donates $14 million for a Coronavirus Vaccine, like average US family donating $33. I've been all over the place recently, online that is. News is pouring in from all over the world about the coronavirus. Opinions too. Racist English teachers spread hate about Chinese people. Easy enough to see. But honestly, I'm tired of talking about racists. Today I want to talk about idiots. Idiots who aren't racist, they're just, well, bitter, I suppose. I knew I was in for a treat when I saw the headline, Jack Ma donates $14 million for coronavirus vaccine, like average US family donating $33. Jack Ma is the founder of Alibaba, one of the biggest tech and retail companies in the world. He's worth a ton of money and he's donated money towards a coronavirus vaccine. So what's the problem? Well, according to Matt Novak, that is the problem. Quote, tech billionaire Jack Ma has donated $14.5 million to help develop a vaccine for the new coronavirus that has killed at least 170 people and sickened over 7,700, which is now more. Ma is China's wealthiest person with an estimated $41.8 billion, which means that his donation is roughly equivalent to the average American household donating $33. No, it isn't roughly equivalent to the average American household donating $33. Not at all. That only makes sense if you're just a strange sadist. I'll explain in a minute. The article goes on to compare Jack to Jeff Bezos, founder of Amazon. He says, with Ma's relatively tiny donation, we can now see the similarities in more ways than one. Ouch! He says, and while you listen to this, note that this is not marked as an opinion piece. This is marked as news. Alibaba and Amazon both treat their employees like shit. Their owners both own major media outlets. Bezos owns the Washington Post and Ma owns the South China Morning Post. And now their owners both give out relatively small charitable donations while they sit on billions of dollars. Jesus Christ, that's rough. You know, I'm all for workers having a good place to work. But at the same time, I don't fully buy into this idea that workers are treated like shit, as Matt says here. I mean, you don't have to work at Alibaba or Amazon or the Washington Post or South China Morning Post. If it's so bad there, go somewhere else. I mean, employers have responsibility to follow labor laws. That's it. They don't have a responsibility to treat people nicely. Sorry, it just doesn't work that way. I've worked in places that didn't treat people fairly. And you know what I did? I left. He goes on. Bezos, who's worth an estimated $117 billion, recently donated $690,000 to help Australia battle its brush fires, the equivalent of an average American donating less than $1. How generous, coming from a guy who says he doesn't know how to spend his money. Bezos and Ma would get along just swimmingly. Again, only a sadist would think this way. Then he goes on to say, quote, Alibaba forces employees to work inhumane levels of overtime, and Amazon workers are pissing in bottles because they're afraid to be punished for taking bathroom breaks. Well, long hours are standard in China, and Japan for that matter. The employees obviously feel like they're getting something out of that deal. They are getting the pay they want, or for Alibaba to be listed on their resume, or other perks. And the same goes for Amazon. If I worked in a warehouse of Amazon and had to use bottles instead of a toilet, again, I would quit. When lots of people quit and list that on their exit interview, things will change. So I'm not defending the companies, but I'm saying it's a two-way street with employee-employer relationships in most cases. Then he says Jack might donate more if he realized the effect the virus will have on sales. Not really, because the vaccine isn't going to come in time to affect any of that. Unfortunately, vaccines are generally too slow to do anything about the initial outbreak, even with donations. Surely you realize that, Matt. Then he wraps it up by saying, it's good when extremely wealthy people give their money to worthy causes. But you know what's great? Taking that obscene wealth through taxes and spending it to make the world a healthier place for everyone. Well, Matt, I'd have to see any kind of evidence anywhere that taxes are to blame for this outbreak, or that more taxes would have helped. It sounds like you're just virtue signaling here. Like, what would have been different with more money? But the real problem with this article isn't Matt's over-the-top anti-capitalist viewpoint or his strange devotions to 1950s era communism. It's his logic about the value of money. Let's go back to what he said earlier. Quote, Bezos, who's worth an estimated $117 billion, recently donated $690,000 to help Australia battle its brush fires. The equivalent of an average American donating less than $1. How generous, blah, blah, blah. Well, Matt, I'm going to give you just a moment to think about this before I answer it for you. Can you think of any reason $690,000 is not equivalent, but actually much better than an average American donating $1? Give up? Well, it's because if you're fighting bushfires and someone hands you $1, you can't even buy a gallon of gas with it for your fire truck. You can't do anything with $1. But if someone hands you $690,000, you can actually use that to save lives and property. You see, the only reason you feel it's the same is that you're focusing not on solving the problem, but on how much pain will the donor go through. You're thinking to yourself, well, he could have done more, rather than, well, that was nice of him. And that's the wrong spirit, my friend. People who run businesses and are successful know a lot better than to just dump money all over a problem. Usually that doesn't help. Certainly it doesn't help as much as the money could be worth if dealt out in rations to appropriate areas. Imagine you run into a medical bandage factory with a cut on your leg. You ask for a bandage and they give you one. Do you think, those guys could have given me 2,000 of them, but they only gave me one? Well, it seems like you do. I would just think, thank God that bandage factory was there, otherwise I wouldn't have found a bandage. Someone, somewhere, pitched Jack Ma the idea, hey, we've got this goal. With $14 million, we can achieve it. And he decided it was a good thing to do and beneficial. He didn't think, well, you need $14 million? What if I just voluntarily gave you $10 billion? Would that help? What planet do you live on when you think that way? Sadist planet. You don't want to help infection victims because nothing you propose would do that. You just want the rich to be punished. Forcing them to improve their employees' experience? You didn't mention that. That I might actually get behind. But simply taking all their money for no reason other than they have it is not right. That's just sadism. What do you guys think about this? To me, it seems like Matt here is just using a tragedy to push an agenda. Until next time, thanks everybody. 谢谢.